All right, good morning, students. Afternoon, if you're in fourth or fifth period. Right now, I'm going to talk about some of the changes that we've made in the current state of the class and some things that are going to be going on. So, as you know, last week we switched over, or not last week, we've always done mastery-based grading, but we made a much bigger push towards it with this semester. So, I want to go over that. Just to remind you, with our mastery-based grading, there's a lower level or a lower value placed on our daily work, particularly our workbook quizzes, just the day-to-day stuff that we do. And then there's a higher value placed on our quizzes and exams. All right, so this makes sure that if you can prove that you know it on a quiz or exam, then you will be in a very good position. However, this obviously goes the other way as well. If you don't know it, your grade is probably going to suffer. So we want to make sure that we do that. So all the things that we do are in preparation to get you ready for the quizzes and exams and make sure you actually know the material when it comes around. So as you know, and unfortunately some of you are not really happy about, the majority of the work that we do must be correct. I know that many of you are just used to having to do your work and you're content with that and you say, hey, our work's done. But it does us really no good if the work's not correct. So, as you know, if on our workbooks, which are right now worth 10 points each week, if you get a 7 or better, that's good. You are done with that workbook. However, if you get a 6 or less, you must correct all the works that you miss. So, if you, for example, get a 6, you know that you missed 4 of them, and then you have to correct those 4 that you missed. So why are we doing this? Well, this is to make sure that we have increased learning and retention. We want to make sure you are actually remembering the things that you learn. And of course, we want to always raise our expectations, because when expectations are increased, students rise to the challenge. But if we make the work easier, then we aren't getting the best out of ourselves and you aren't learning as much as possible, and we aren't best preparing you for high school and to compete with your contemporaries or the kids in your age group around the city, country, and the world. Now, we've learned about inertia as it pertains to objects. We know that inertia is an object's resistance to change. Objects want to keep doing what they're doing. But we also can have personal inertia. People really don't like to change. People get to hanging out around here, like in their comfort level. So people like to come along, they're in their comfort level, and then they run into change. And this is where inertia kicks in. People want to keep doing what they were doing. They want to stay in their comfort zone or at their comfort level. And when people run into change, usually what happens initially is that performance or happiness goes down. This is what's happening right now with your grades. Students aren't really comfortable with the change, and grades are suffering, which we're going to look at in just a minute. So right now we're down here in this area. But what happens is people adjust to the change. They start to rise, okay? And then we have these greater expectations up here. And then we have more learning, more understanding, and more retention. And then you get to a new comfort level, and which is at a higher level that you can see than before. So that's the whole point, is we raise the expectations and get you to perform. So when students are like, oh, we're doing too much, or this is extra, that's exactly what you need. You need that extra so that you can get to the next level. Right now, I teach 126 students total at the time of this video. And right now, 56, so a little less than half of students have incomplete grades, which means they have missing or uncorrected work. So that leaves us with 70 students that have completed all assignments and they've been corrected. But of those students that have all their work done, right now we're looking at mostly C's, D's, and F's as I look through the grade book. So even though these students have their work done, it's not high quality work, which is what we want to aim towards. 6 students have B's, and out of all 8th graders right now, 1 student has an A. Now, this is not typical, and you performed at a much higher level, at least on the surface level, last semester. But now, right, like I said, you're adjusting to this change, and the initial response is not very good. But I know that you are going to bounce back. students have been making their corrections, though. They've been making an effort to make their corrections, kinda. Now, this past weekend, I took homework for students that did corrections. They corrected, in quotations here, their papers. And the people that, of those 51 students that turned their papers in, 35 of those students still had incorrect answers on their paper. So they got their paper back and they either did some of them or just wrote some other answer and they didn't double check. They didn't actually make sure it was correct. And so those 35 students are going to get their papers back today, and they're going to be marked that they haven't been corrected. So you want to make sure you're doing that. And then we can avoid all this by making sure that we get this stuff right the first time, especially since we go over everything in class. So why are we doing all this? Okay, so because the majority of your grade is going to come from your exams and quizzes. And although the workbooks don't count for very much, they are the foundation. And we go over the entire workbook. They are the foundation that's going to help you do well on the quizzes. So even though they aren't worth very much, the quizzes are worth a good bit more. And so if you've done everything, you understand it, and you get them correct, you're going to do well on the quizzes. And then if you do well on the quizzes, then you're going to be primed to do well on the exam. Because if the things that you miss on the quizzes, we can fill in those holes, get you ready to go, and so that when you get to the exam, it should be easy. And that is the idea. If I don't demand that you get this work correct, we can't expect for you to do well on the quizzes and the exams, and then you're ultimately going to be unhappy. So if we do the work here at the ground level, we build this foundation, you're going to be doing really well on the exams, and that is the whole point. So if you're getting upset that you have to redo these workbooks, first of all, again, be more diligent when you do them in the first place, and don't just do them for the sake of being done, because you just create more work by trying to be done quickly, as many of you are seeing right now. So you want to take your time in the first place. Now, let me talk about this grading. As you know, you've all seen the grading scale before that we do on our workbooks. Okay, we have 10 items that I randomly pick that you don't know which ones. And let's say we go through and you got number 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, or 7, 9, and 10 correct. So you got 7 of them correct. So you're good. You are done with that workbook. Congratulations. You did a good job. You don't need to do any corrections. You probably have a pretty good understanding of the material, hopefully. And hopefully you did it yourself. You didn't copy. But like again, I said, we go over this all in class, so everybody should be getting 10s on their workbook, because it's really low-level stuff, or low-level grades, I should say. But then let's say you have this situation where you got 6 of them correct. All right, in this situation, you got less than 7 correct. So you need to go back and correct numbers 1, 3, 7, and 9. Now remember, only on the grading scale, you only need to put checks on the grading scale, no X's. The X's go inside. So this person should have, by number 1, they got graded. There should have been an X. Number 3, number 7, and number 9. So this makes it easy for the person to go and find in the workbook which ones they missed and which ones they correct. So once you do this, you still don't write anything on the grading scale, but once you've corrected these 4 items, okay, you're gonna write corrected and put the date that you corrected them. All right, and so then you will turn them in. I'm gonna show you where we turn those in a second. All right, actually, I'm gonna just grab right now and show you. All right, over here, okay, it's gonna be first, second, third period, fourth, fifth, and sixth period. So when you have work that's been corrected, you'll just don't come hand it to me. You'll come put it in here in your class slot. So please do that. Now, once you have done that, and once you have corrected it, if it's legit and all 4 of these are correct, and I'm definitely gonna check them, okay, I'll initial in the box, and then I'll have this returned to you, and you'll know I will have corrected it because you'll see my initials in there. Now, let's say you give me a paper and it's not correct. Let's say you corrected, you corrected number 1, 3, 7, and I look at number 9 and it's still not correct. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna cross this out. Okay, I'm gonna put I'm gonna put on 10, or maybe it's the next day. Okay, on 2, 10, 15. Okay, and I'm gonna put number 9. because that's still not correct. And that lets you know that you need to correct it. So what you'll do is you'll go back, you'll do number 9. Once you see this note, you'll write correct it next to it. Okay, put the date that you turned it in. Okay, maybe it was the next day again. Okay, and you'll circle it and we'll go through the same process. All right, so that's that. All right, in the next video, actually, I guess I'll do it now real quick. Okay, so now that I still have your attention. In a minute, you're about to get your progress report. Okay, and on your progress report, you already know what it looks like. You'll see your grade here, the percentage, and all your assignments and the grades you got on that assignment, what the points it was worth and what you scored. Okay, in an ideal situation, your progress report would look something like this. You see that this student is not missing any assignments, and also they've done really well on their assignments. Okay, so this happens to be the one student that has an A right now in the 8th grade. Okay, but I know there's going to be many more of you pretty soon, so I'm not really worried about it. Now, this student right here. Now, this student, a lot of students will fall in this category. And before we pay too much attention to the grade, what I want you to notice is that this student is not missing any work. And this student did pretty well on their student workbooks. They've been participating. But if you look down here, this student did not do well on the quizzes and the exam. So this student is probably either copying somebody's work or not paying very much attention to what they are doing. So you can see that they've done well here, but they didn't really understand the material because they didn't pass the exams. They actually did pretty poorly. In this case, the student got a 50. Okay, remember, if you score less than 50, I'll adjust up to a 50%, which is still an F. So even though you're doing the work, if you're not doing quality work, if you're not having a good understanding, then it's not going to do you very good. Now, many of you might be in this situation. If you get your grade back and you have an I here, okay, this means that you are missing work. The first thing you need to do is take your progress report and circle the things that you are missing. All right, and then today we're going to go over, you're going to go through this one by one, and you are going to complete the things that I've made videos for each workbook that's missing. So for example, this student would need to watch the video for week 20, week 21, week 22, and week 23. Okay, we're going to do this today and tomorrow because I just want to set you up today. Now, on page 3 of your student workbook, you're going to find a flow chart. And in the beginning, it might seem pretty crazy, but you're going to start right here and you're going to read the question. It says, are you missing any assignments? And then if the answer is yes, you go here. If the answer is no, you go here. And then you keep going. And it tells you exactly what to do and exactly which videos to watch. Okay, so if you go through this flow chart, by the end of tomorrow, all of you should be already all done and be on level 3. I mean, if you're not, then you're not using your time effectively. We're going to go on to the next thing, but you still will have to be responsible for getting your work done. So this will help you get there. Okay, so if you're not missing any assignments, it'll tell you what to do, and we'll go through this again in a minute. But if you have any questions, once you go through, it's pretty self-explanatory. So here, just let me show you. It says, are you missing any assignments? The answer is yes. It says, are you missing week 20? Okay, if you're not missing week 20, you go down here. It says you're missing 21. You're not missing 21, you go to 22. You're missing 23. Okay, it says here, watch the week 23 video, which is going to be on the website that I'm going to show you in a minute. And then once you finish that, are you done? Yes, you go over here, then it asks you another question, you answer yes or no, and you just follow the flow chart. All right, so that's that. We're gonna get started. I'm gonna give you your progress reports. Okay, do not throw your progress reports away. You need to keep them in your student workbooks. I know some of you like to ball them up and all that. Do not do that. We need to make sure that we know what we need to do. It needs to stay in your workbook, and your grade is nobody else's business except for mine and yours. So let's not get distracted with that. All right, we're going to get started. I'm going to give you your progress reports. You're going to have your red pen. You're going to mark up what you missed, and then you're going to use it to go through this, and I will instruct you on which videos to watch or to the website so you can start watching the videos to get you all set. Because in the videos, I go through everything that's in that workbook that you might be missing so that you can get it done once and for all and move on to the next thing. All right, let's get started.